Hi, I'm David Scher. I'm the director of the Find the Cause Breast Cancer Research Consortium. Usually I'm here to talk about cancer, but today I've been asked to answer some common questions about COVID-19, something that is on everyone's minds and things that are important for you to know for your health and for public health. Starting with what is the coronavirus? So coronaviruses are a large family of related viruses. Some of them actually cause the common cold, so no big deal, right? In 2003, though, a new strain of coronavirus that causes severe acute respiratory symptoms, or SARS, was discovered. This was called SARS-CoV-1, which killed about 14% of the people that it infected. A second coronavirus that causes severe respiratory distress was discovered in 2019. Hence, its name is SARS-CoV-2, or COVID-19, for the year in which it was discovered. The good news is that COVID-19 has a lower fatality rate than SARS-CoV-1, 1% overall, but up to 15% of those people infected over 60. The bad news is that it's much more infectious than SARS-CoV-1 and getting more infectious all the time. So more about that in a little bit. The vast majority of the data indicate that both viruses originated in animals and were accidentally transmitted to humans. Are the vaccines safe? Well, I'll limit my discussion to vaccines that are available in the US. To date, millions of people have been vaccinated with vaccines from Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson. In trials closely vetted by several independent agencies, including the NIH, multiple independent data and safety monitoring boards composed of scientists, physicians, epidemiologists, and statisticians, and FDA's career scientists and physicians in their Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research. No one takes the company's word for it. Thus far, there's no evidence that the vaccines cause any significant, long-lasting, untoward outcomes at any meaningful rates. There has been scattered reports of allergic reactions. These are extremely infrequent and far less frequent than, for example, an allergic anaphylactic reaction to a common drug. In any case, hanging out for 15 minutes after you get vaccinated should cover your bets on that very unlikely possibility. Initially, there were suggestions that the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines could cause a temporary condition called Bell's palsy. Currently, there's no evidence to support this, so emphatically, yes, they are as safe can be. How effective are the vaccines? All the vaccines are considered to be very effective, probably more effective than any of us had ever expected. The Moderna and Pfizer vaccines prevent 90 to 95% of all COVID-19 infections. The J&J vaccine is 65 to 75% effective at preventing all COVID-19 infections. Even with those people who have been vaccinated and end up testing positive for COVID-19, very, very few hospitalizations have been reported, and to my knowledge, no deaths. Do the vaccines cause any side effects? People getting vaccinated report mild symptoms such as arm soreness at the site of the vaccination. I can attribute to that. So don't let anyone punch you in the arm after you get vaccinated. Fatigue and muscle pain are also fairly common. These symptoms are signs that the immune system has been activated and generally subside within about 24 hours. Is it the actual SARS-CoV-2 virus being injected? No. All of the vaccines contain only molecules that can reproduce proteins unique to this particular virus. These molecules cannot reproduce or replicate in you. Can the RNA vaccine cause changes in your genes, like mutations that could cause cancer later in life? There is no evidence or scientific theory to either support or suggest this. The Moderna, and actually Moderna stands for mRNA, and Pfizer vaccines are made of RNA, which is highly labile, meaning it self-destructs in a very short time. The RNA does not interact with your DNA, so it does not cause mutations, it cannot cause long-term effects. The RNA code simply tells your cells how to make proteins that are unique to this virus, which the immune system then recognizes as foreign, and then responds by producing antibodies in addition to other immune protectors that are all specific for COVID-19. The J&J vaccine uses double-stranded virus-encoded DNA to generate COVID-19-like proteins. This approach has been used previously in vaccine design, most notably in the vaccine for Ebola, with no apparent long-term adverse effects. How do the COVID vaccines work? The Johnson & Johnson vaccine uses essentially a Trojan horse to deliver genetic information that results in production of proteins that are unique to the COVID-19 virus. The Trojan horse is an attenuated or a weakened common cold virus that is in no way related to the coronavirus. Although it can deliver the instructions on how to defeat the coronavirus, it can't replicate in your body and you will not get a viral infection. The Moderna and Pfizer vaccines are made of nanosize, so really, really small balls of lipids or fats that have encapsulated in them RNA that uses host machinery to make what looks like a COVID-19 protein to your immune system, which it then responds to. Again, the RNA is highly labile, meaning it self-destructs in a very short time. RNA does not interact with your DNA, so it does not cause mutations or cause long-term effects. How long are we immune after being vaccinated? Well, that's sort of the million-dollar question, right? No one is sure yet. Antibodies generated by the vaccines last for several months, but there are many other immune mediators that may come into play after that, so-called memory immune cells. That said, it's possible and maybe even likely that we'll have to be revaccinated each year. But what about the variants? Well, the variants are a bit worrisome. The variant B.1.1.7, first found in England, is more infectious than the original and may be more lethal. The B.351 variant, first found in South Africa, contains some of the same mutations found in the British variant and mutations that could make it more antibody resistant. At present, that remains just a theoretical possibility and hasn't been firmly proven. The P1 variant, first seen in Brazil, contains 17 unique mutations, appears to be more transmissible than the original strain. It shares some mutations with the South Africa variant and may, in theory, be more resistant to vaccines. And there are 2 new variants identified recently in California, so it's not unusual for this particular virus to mutate and to form various kinds of variants. The ongoing evolution of these variants is why, from a public health point of view, the vast majority of Americans need to be vaccinated as soon as possible. As Dr. Fauci says, this is a race against time. It's the vaccines against the virus. The longer COVID-19 has to bounce around between susceptible individuals, the more opportunity it has to mutate and drift away from the strains that are now so sensitive to the vaccines. So even if you prefer to take your chances against the virus by not being vaccinated and get infected and survive it, you should consider the well-being of the rest of the people around you and the population in general. Without a high level of vaccination, we'll be living with an increasingly deadly form of COVID for a long, long time to come. And just one more final word about the development of these vaccines. Although the COVID-19 specific vaccines were generated in a record short amount of time, just a few months, the information needed to design and make these vaccines has been generated over decades. Nothing is done like in the movies, like here's a new virus, new approach, or new therapy for it overnight. It doesn't work that way. The foundation on which these vaccines were built was provided by you, the taxpayers, whose dollars go to the NIH, the primary source of funds needed to invest in decades of basic science research that results in an understanding of the basic biology of viruses and the human immune system. That is the technology that these vaccines are built upon. Thanks for listening. Watch out for those variants and stay safe.